Andrew?
Okay, good morning everybody and good evening for the lovely people across the ocean shores. I know that you guys are in summer, and for us lucky people down here in Australia, it feels like summer for us today too, because it is a spectacular day down here. It's pretty amazing. So today is Testimonial Day, and we're really fortunate, and I just want to thank everybody for coming on board. And we've got three really fabulous testimonials today with Adrian Kremler, and with Elizabeth Macarthur, and also Ben Petrone. So I know that we're going to be in for an hour of amazing stories and journeys, and I'm really, really grateful and thankful that you have agreed to share your personal story, because it's really beneficial for us to be able to share that in amongst other people, for them to realise just what the power is of these products and what they've been doing for us. So I'd like to actually start with Adrian if we can first, and get you started, Adrian. So I had the pleasure of meeting you in Vegas, so welcome on board today.
Yes, we did. Thank you.
And if I can honestly say, from my personal background of health and fitness, all of my life in various manners, the man that I saw in Vegas has remarkably changed. And I've been watching your progress on Facebook from what you've been doing, and it is dedication, persistence, a strength of mind, and an awful lot of dedication in regards to getting into that gym or getting into a regular exercise routine. But you and I both know.
I have to jump in because I didn't do any exercise.
Oh, I understand that, but I know a lot of it is exercise.
Yes, I did years and years of training, and it was just hidden. I haven't actually trained for a couple of years now, but it was just all hidden.
So when we talk about hidden, Adrian, for people that don't understand, talking about exercise, we have what we call DOMS, which is like a delayed onset of muscle soreness. So it's like a stimulus of your muscles, but you also have a muscle memory. So your muscles in your body actually remember stimulus that it's had. So I'm going to hand it back over to Adrian, because he'll explain in regards to how he's done this through diet, and not necessarily, hitting the gym massively to get the results that he's achieved. So do you want to go through what you have actually done, Adrian? That'd be great.
Well, I decided that what I wanted to do was see if I could transform my body simply just using my diet and the supplements for my Galen. So just the Amulin Plus and the Climax and a low carb diet. So the diet I chose was the Whole 30, which is really just whole foods. It's got a restriction on spices, on the carbs that you can eat. The carbs that you can eat, really, there's not much for carbs that you eat other than vegetables. You can eat potatoes. There's no grains. There's no bread. There's some whole grains, but limited. So it's a very, very carb restricted diet, and whole foods. And it was amazing. I thought having it being a low carb diet that I was going to have to eat so much more protein in order and so much more of the vegetables in order to get my calories to sustain my energy, because I have quite a quick metabolism. So, but I actually didn't. Once I started eating the whole foods, I was eating solely the whole foods with the protein, I didn't really need to eat more of anything. It was incredible. And I had tons of energy. I had way more energy than I've ever had eating tons and tons of carbs. Like when we used to train in the gym, we used to carb load. So you'd eat a massive amount of high glycemic carbs and go to the gym and burn them off. And you kind of get this boost after you carb loaded, but I had way more energy just on the Whole 30 with the low carb diet, eating whole foods.
So Adrian, just to pause there, just to explain to people that you used to do bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So
I was a competitive bodybuilder for a few years. I competed in Vancouver when I was younger. And then I've been a personal trainer since I was 19. So and I'm still certified. So I've been active, and I've been working out and training my whole life. And so you talk about muscle memory. Well, I have good genetics, but I also have muscle memory from training that so many years. And so, I didn't really have to do any. I'll just go back a little bit, because I wanted to do this diet, do this body transformation without doing any exercise, just proving to people that it doesn't take 2 hours of exercise a day in order to get lean and see your abs and get in shape, to lose layers of body fat. It doesn't take hours and hours in the gym. Your diet is probably 80 or 90% of what you put in is what you're going to see. So even you don't need, it's great. It's really good to train, to complement your diet with your training, but you can do so much just with your diet. Clean eating, low carb, clean eating, whole foods, not a bunch of processed foods. Even fats aren't bad. Your body needs fat to burn fat, so which a lot of people don't understand. But if you're eating good fats and not not the trans fats and all the processed foods, you can do wonders. And that's what I wanted to prove. And I did that. The last 2 weeks of my 60. So I did it for 60 days. I didn't just do it for 30 days of the diet. I did for 60 days. I did 30 days was the true Whole 30 diet, and then I kind of did a modified Whole 30 where I ate a little more grain and some whole grain breads, but just eating real clean. The last 2 weeks I did some ab work. Like I did some sit-ups 2 days a week. I did a little bit of ab work, but before I'd done that, I didn't do any. All I did was walk my dog twice a day for about half an hour total. So 15 minutes about to walking, and the rest was all diet.
So Adrian, can I ask you, like when we're talking about from a professional level, when we're going into exercise sciences, personal trainers, what is your actual weight training age? Like how many years have you been training? Has this been from 19 or did you start when you were younger?
I started when I was 15.
Okay.
My step, I'm 46 now.
Yeah.
And I started when I was 15. So 30 years.
Yeah. And there is.
So at my heaviest, I was 260 pounds of muscle, and with about 10% body fat, which is pretty low.
Yeah.
As a trainer, 10% is pretty low.
Yeah.
So
and the only reason I ask this for everybody to be aware
of muscle with 10% body fat.
If they're not aware of this, that when you're looking at training age, when people have been lifting and exercising for that length in time, the body does really remember what the stimulus has been in the past. So doing exactly what Adrian has been doing has been remarkable to follow your progress. So I've been, I must admit, been a stalker on Facebook because your progress as you've been putting up your photos have just been remarkable, and I've got nothing but, absolute kudos to you, because it takes a lot of dedication when you decide to put your mindset in that frame. And I believe, is it the first week, do you think, or 2 weeks has it taken to get yourself into that habit?
Well, because I've been training for so long, and I was really dedicated to it. And so I had really good habits, and I had really good self-control. And so it didn't take me long at all. I would from pretty well from the first week, I was committed, and I was in the routine. So, and from training, once you get into a routine and you start seeing results, you get even tighter on your routine. So you want you're sticking to it even closer.
Can I ask you then, did you find that through, I know what my experience has been, but I want to ask you how you found it because you've been doing this via diet predominantly and then just walking. When you're looking at the transformation of the muscle forming and as fat starts to disappear and muscle starts to reappear, do you think that that process has happened a lot quicker because of the supplements, or do you believe that that has had some sort of an impact for you?
I do. I really do. Like, I mean, I'll just kind of give you a little bit of background, but over the last 3 years, about 3 years ago, I tore my left bicep tendon. So I was 250 pounds of muscle with probably 15% body fat, and I tore my bicep tendon. It was a horrific story. That's not something it's a long story I wouldn't share here on this video, on this call. But that totally debilitated me for almost 2 years. Well, for more than 2 years, I was not able to do really any physical act. I mean, I could have walked and stuff, but I mean, you get a little bit depressed when you get a bad injury like that. You can see yourself deflating after all this hard work you put in the gym, and so you get a little bit depressed. So for over 2.5 years, I really wasn't doing anything. A little bit of walking here and there, and so I lost a lot of muscle mass, but it just kind of turned into fat. Turned into body fat. So my body composition totally changed. So I didn't lose much size. I actually lost a little bit of weight, but you could see I was just getting pudgier and pudgier and pudgier.
I can, looking at what I saw in Vegas with you, and I'm saying this with constructive and an objective opinion in regards to a professional approach.
Yeah.
I saw somebody that was deconditioned to a degree and living a lifestyle of eating whatever you chose. And from what I can see from that point in time, you've completely just changed your dietary intake and the results are showing for themselves. And again, congratulations. But what I wanted to ask you, and I'm very mindful because this is your career too, but is there any tips that you'd like to tell us, or is there any way that I follow you on your Facebook because I like to see what it is that you're actually consuming in your dietary intake. So for all of you that are on this call or whoever listens to this call afterwards, get onto Adrian's site and just follow what he's actually consuming on a daily basis, because it will give you an idea on how easy that it is if you decide to take this pathway, because it's clean eating. And he shows it very clearly. So I don't know if you've actually got a written diet that you like to share, or whether you prefer people just to follow what you're doing, because as I said, I know it's your profession.
Well, I'll be right back. I'll get the book.
And the reason I say this to you all is because, again, being in this industry as well, it was something in the gymnasium where people would come through, and even working with professional athletes, that, a lot of the time that they would, their BMI, their body mass index, they'd be a high percentage of body fat. And they'd tell you straight to your face, but we're not eating, anything that we shouldn't be. Well, yes, you are. Because it's telling us that you're basically pigging out somewhere along the line, because your body's showing us that that's what you're doing. So it doesn't lie. But if you do anything, follow this man on what he's doing on Facebook. If you really want people to know how easy it is to make a choice and then follow a really clean diet, because Adrian is consistent in what he's doing by putting up food photos. So it's very easy to see and give you a guideline on what you can choose to make a difference. And, I'll say this isn't my testimony, but very quickly, I had 5 years of being deconditioned after a car accident and did nothing, not even walk the dog. It was either in hospital or at home. Since I've started exercising again, within a month, because of muscle memory, I had muscle tone come straight back. I've got abs in I actually have my abs back again within a 2-month period. And it's because of muscle memory, because of what my regime's been all of my life. So what you're saying, Adrian, it is exactly true. It's what you put in your mouth makes the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had the Whole 30 cookbook, which I wanted to just kind of put up for everybody, but it's called the Whole 30 Diet, and it's a cookbook with a whole bunch of recipes. It has the instructions on how to do the diet, the foods that you can use, and then it's got it's full of recipes, easy 30 to 45 minute recipes that you can make. They're real quick and they're delicious. Like they're absolutely like you wouldn't. I love to eat meat. I love to eat chicken. I love to eat beef. But there were a lot of meals that were made with squash and sweet potatoes and just foods that they're just so nutritious and simple, just so simple. These recipes are so simple, and I'm lucky. I have a beautiful wife who loves to cook, and she did most of the cooking for this, and it was amazing. It was just some of the meals were so tasty and so delicious and so quick and easy.
So Adrian, what I want to ask you, sorry, as well, because I'm just looking at time frames here, is what sort of dosages are you on? Like, what are you taking each day with Emulin and with Climax? Just so we've got a bit of an idea.
I was gonna get into that because the recommended dosage for the Emulin. There's the Emulin E now. So the Emulin E is 2 capsules a day is the recommended dosage. But those recommended dosages are based on a 150-pound individual. So I don't know if most people know that, but they're based on a 150-pound individual. So I took with the M and the C, I was taking 3 in the beginning, and then I started taking 4 a day. So I was taking two tablets in the morning and 2 in the evening. And with the E, I take 2 in the morning and 1 in the evening. Because like for the weight loss part of it, to cut the calories from your carbohydrates, you're supposed to be taking the Emulin 15 minutes before your meals. But after you have it in your system, it's in your bloodstream, it's not so important that you take it the timing like that. But I still take it 15 minutes before my breakfast and 15 minutes before my dinner.
And what about with Climax? What are you doing with that?
For the Climax, I don't use the scoop. The scoop is 2 teaspoons, so it's 10 milliliters. So what I do is I do 1 teaspoon in the morning with my Emulin. I do 1 teaspoon before dinner with my Emulin again, and it's phenomenal. Like if I don't take it, it is phenomenal. The difference in my energy levels, my alertness, my focus. Climax has been an incredible addition to the Emulin.
Yeah, no, I just want to look. It's been a remarkable story, and if I don't mind, just as I said, directing people to go to Adrian's Facebook site and follow it. If you've got people,
I have yes. I have, like, there's my personal page, which is Adrian Kremler. So that's my Facebook page. But then I have my Transform Leadership. So that's my group site. I post everything on both of those sites.
So can you put into the chat line when you're finished on this call, just both your sites, and then I know which ones they are, but if you can put them into the chat line when you finish, that would be great.
Yeah.
And then people can direct them through to you, because let me tell you, this man has got a lot of good advice, and it's great to see somebody that is taking the Emulin and the Climax, but he's doing this primarily through going back to what Dr. Ahrens talks about, and that is going back to a caveman diet and going carb less. Very limited in carb less, and we're eating whole foods, natural foods, no processed foods. And this is what I've been seeing with Adrian and watching his progress as he's going through. And it has been a remarkable transformation. I've got goosebumps coming up all over my body, because I know what sort of dedication it takes. And as I said, congratulations to you, Adrian. And I really want to thank you for sharing your story, because I know that a lot of people are going to get so much out of this. Here you are, walking your dog, but the biggest success has been for you has been through your dietary intake and the choices that you've decided to take. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, you know, I have taken supplements all my life. Like I've taken health. I've taken a multivitamin. I've taken my omegas. All that. So I take a multivitamin and omegas, and I've used creatine over the years, bodybuilding. But my staples have been a multivitamin and the omega-3. I don't take those anymore, because there's a full spectrum of vitamins in the Climax, and there's a very large dose of the omega-3 in the Climax. I don't take any vitamin or any pill form vitamins anymore at all. It's all just in the supplementation.
Can you hear that, everybody? It's like music to my ears, let me tell you. I'm pretty darn excited about it, because to have somebody show you the proof of what it can be. Adrian, we've got to finish up with you here, because we need to get moving on, but I'd really like again to thank you, and I want to encourage people to contact Adrian. Follow what he's doing, go through like what I did, and follow his progress, and go back through his pages and have a look and see what he's been doing, because this man's a machine. He knows what he's doing, and you guys have got every opportunity to do exactly the same. And he's given you the secret to it, and it basically is through what we eat. Going back to caveman diet, all the minerals are in the supplements that we need. And I just want to thank you, Adrian. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jackie. I'm really happy I could share. And any concerns, or if they want some suggestions or dietary advice, even recipes, just write me on my personal Facebook page or my Transform Fitness Leadership, and I'll get back to you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Adrian. And as I said to you, everybody, you know, like this is where you just look at it where I Gale, and again, we are global. And this is what the beauty of it is that everybody's willing to help everyone. And it's really super amazing. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. No worries. So what we'll look at doing is trying to see if we can get on to Ben. I'm not sure if we're able to get on to him or not. I think Debbie's trying to see if she can get hold of him. How are we going with that, Debbie? No luck? Okay. So we might actually move on to where are we? Elizabeth, do you want to show yourself, Elizabeth? Where are we? Oh, there you are. Hi.
Hi, there we go.
There we go. We've got you unmuted.
Yeah.
Welcome.
You can see me okay?
I can see you okay. Do you know how excited I am about this?
No.
I'm really excited because a certain family member of yours has given me a little bit of information about a month ago about you, and so I've kept that underneath my little. No. It's just been all in admiration, so it hasn't gone any further. So I'm excited because I know you've got an amazing story to share with us. So welcome to the call, and thank you for coming on today.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, so look, can I ask you, how long have you been on board with iGalen?
March of 2017.
Okay, so you're about the same as I was as well. And going to Vegas, like if we just, touch base very quickly there, What did that mean to you? What did that do for you?
Oh, just totally solidified my belief in the product and in the company, and in particularly Dr. Ahrens and Dr. Stefano, because they are absolutely fabulous. And they know their stuff inside out, and they were just so gracious and so willing to talk to everybody. It was awesome experience.
It felt like we were at the movie premiere or something, didn't it? Like, realistically, it was just a big high, and it was very difficult to get on the plane to come home from, because I still felt like I was flying and I didn't need wings. But, you know, when I look at you from where you were in Vegas, can you please start and tell us what's happening with you? Because I've got a little bit of insight into it, but you've been doing some remarkable things with Emulin and Climax. Do you want to share what's happening with you and what's happened with your health, and what's going on with you?
Sure, would love to. But I will start off by, for those of you who don't know, Brian is my uncle, and he's the one that introduced me to the business, so I'm very grateful for that and happy to be on his team. We have a lot of fun. So yeah, thanks. So I started with Emulin in March of 2017, and I don't have any major diagnosis of any diseases or everything, other than, you know, minor aches and pains, or I notice stuff myself, and I'm not big on running to the doctor with every ache or pain. It's got to be pretty bad for me to go. So from that perspective, in some ways I considered myself to be in decent health because I didn't have any diagnosis, but I also knew that I wasn't, and that it just hadn't manifested to that degree yet. So a big part of my mindset has always been about prevention. I want to prevent it, get to it, get it healed up before it gets to that place, which was one of the reasons I was attracted to the product. So one of the things that I did have going on for me at the time were my knees. And actually, I've not had a lot of strength in my knees for several years. And so going up and down stairs is difficult, or like trying to stand up out of a chair that's too low was like impossible. I had to give up like my beach lawn chair because they were too low, and I could get in them, but I couldn't get out of them. Or if I was on the floor having to stand up, you know, we always say I have to stand up like a baby, you know, butt up first, because I don't have the strength in my knees to pull myself up. So I'm taking the product, merrily going along my way, and I would say by about the end of April, I was walking up a set of stairs, and I was walking up it normally. And I was about halfway up the set of stairs before it dawned on me that I wasn't doing what I like to call the old lady shuffle, which is 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot. I was going up normally. And then when I come down, I just kind of paid attention, and I was kind of going down pretty normally too. So I was really thrilled with that. And then, of course, you know, once I see that, I thought, okay, let's test out the strength. Let's see exactly how strong it is, because I like to play with it. So I tried getting up out of some chairs and things that were a little lower, and I could actually do it. Now, still can't get off the floor yet, but that's okay. But I saw a great increase in the strength in my knees, which I attribute to the fact that the inflammation had gone down. And also, I was not able to kneel on my knees because it just hurt. Like, that would be very painful. And that's better than what it was. It's you know, it's coming along, but I did notice a difference in that. Also had some, you know, some improvement in my energy. Also had some improvement with my cravings. And of course, I've been overweight most of my life. So I was pleased to see that some of the cravings were going away, and that I was able to manage that a little better. So that was kind of sort of the big thing for my Emulin story. And then kind of what happened for me was in about November, I had a friend recommend to me a film, and it's called That Sugar Film, which is actually an Australian film, and it's actually a very big Australian movement to get refined carbs and sugars out of the diet. But a friend recommended it to me, and I sat down and watched the movie, and it literally shocked me, because I had no idea how ingrained carbs were in our foods. And I mean, I've done all kinds of diets up and down in my life, and I gain or lose, but I could never ever maintain it. And when I looked at what I was told to eat or what I was taught to eat, which is the Canada Food Guide, which is, all the it's carb based, it's heavy carbs, it's eating all these fat-free foods that have no fat in them, but they're full of sugar, but they don't tell you they're full of sugar. So when I watched that film, I was like, oh my God, I got it all wrong. That information isn't right. It was such a big shock to my system. I was literally sitting on the couch shaking because I'd never put two to two together before. Whether I'd heard it or not, I got no idea. I just never put it together. And I remember getting up off the couch and running to the fridge because I had a loaf of bread in the freezer, and I thought, once in a while it's okay to have some bread. And I looked at the label and I looked at the carb content. Nobody had ever taught me to look at the carb content on a label, ever, that I recall. And there was something like, it was like 26 grams of carbs in a serving size. And I think it was like 2 grams of fiber. So you take that out, which gave you 24, divide by 4, which means there's 6 teaspoons of sugar in those 2 slices of bread. I was shocked. I literally had no idea. So one of the big things that Galen has done for me in my experience with him, is that it's the information it's providing and the connections it's making with my own food. Because I know when I talked with Debbie last week, when she phoned me to see if I wanted to come on the call, it was really interesting because Debbie made a comment to me that she said, well, I've known that all my life. I'm like, wow. I said, I found that out in November. And she was shocked and I was shocked. I'm like, how come you knew all this? She's like, how come you didn't? So there are so many people out there that don't know this. They're still doing the Canada Food Guide. They still think sugar's good for them. They still think carbs are good for them. And so to me, it was that major wake-up call.
Yeah. Could I just interject here, Elizabeth? Because to me, that was the most important thing that came out of our whole conversation. You didn't have an earth-shattering testimony. You weren't in a wheelchair and suddenly you could walk. And that's valid for some people. Not everybody has that. But I think what was so profound about our conversation was that you realize that people are totally programmed by what we're told. And unless you think outside the box and go looking, and you're an educated person, so I was quite surprised that people didn't know that. But it's all about putting the right information in front of people. And I think that's one of the biggest things that Galen, can be thanked for, that we've brought that awareness to what we're doing and what we're eating, and how, look at Adrian's testimony, how important food is, and how people really, in a lot of cases, have no clue. And, I've known that for a long time. You just sort of assume that everybody knows that, but they don't. And so I think that's the biggest thing to come out of your testimony. So I love that part. So thank you.
Yeah. So, because to me, one of the ways of gaining better health and in changing our food is about the education and knowing why those aren't good choices for me. So that then sent me on to another whole research. And so I started looking into, well, what else is there? If it's not all carb-based, then what else is there? And that led me to keto, with where I kind of started. Now, I never was a strict keto because that didn't kind of feel right. But the important part out of that for me was I got rid of a lot of the carbs. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take those out and see what happens. And within 4 months, I lost about 40 pounds and about 6 dress sizes. It was pretty cool. And that was basically almost all on the the Emulin. I started taking Climax in December of last year. So that kind of would have started to come in play there. But one of the other things that I recognized is when you're looking to decide, okay, if I'm not going to do a carb-based diet and I'm going to do something else, explore what's out there, because I'm a meat eater. So don't be giving me no vegetarian diet or vegan diet. Don't even come to me with that, because it wouldn't appeal to me, because I like my meat. So I went towards the keto because it was much more meat and less carbs and less vegetables, which suits me just fine. So that's what works for me. So it's about, also, I believe it's about finding what works for you food-wise and what you resonate with towards food. So, so I've been doing that for a while. I was doing quite well, and then I kind of sort of fell off the wagon. And one of the things that I've recognized now is that I am much more sensitive to carbs. So when I eat some of the things that I would eat before, like if I was having a fast food hamburger, I always had the bun and the fries and the Coke. I do that, and I can feel it literally zapping me of energy and making me want to go to sleep. So it's been really interesting in my journey in that respect, because I'm getting to do some comparisons of, okay, this is how I was. Now if I go back to doing that, it's like I don't like it, and it doesn't feel good, and I can feel it and recognize it more because I was without it for a little bit, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing, of course, that I'm recognizing big time for me in my personal journey, it is about the mindset. It's about shifting that mind and gaining new information with regards to why that other food is no good to me, or why I choose that. So what I recognized and learned as well is that sugar is more addictive than cocaine. Well, no wonder when I was doing any other type of diet, I could never stay on it. So I did one plan previously. I did it for 12 months. And in those 12 months, on paper, I had lost 50 pounds. Off paper, I'd lost about 125 based on what I had gained. I would gain and lose, gain and lose, gain and lose inside that 12 months. Now I understand why I did that, because it was a carb-based diet. And that triggers me. If I'm having sugar, then I can only go so long before I had to have my binge. So in recognizing that, then that's helped me to turn around and look at, okay, so what are my thought processes? What are my beliefs, or what is triggering that? And that's what I'm working on right now, because to me, that is my ultimate goal. And to me, that is heaven, is being able to not have the cravings either chemically, emotionally, or mentally. Because I've had different people say, well, you know, when they're following a plan, yeah, but you know what, if you put that cake on my table, I'd eat it all. Because you see that sugar addiction and that memory, kind of like the muscle memory, it comes up just like that. And then that's to be feared, because now you're living in fear of, oh no, I can't go there because they'll have this food, or right? To me, that's no way to live a life. I want to get to the point where I just don't really want it. It has no effect on me whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So the Emulin and the Clemax are helping me do that, because they're helping me by reducing the inflammation. It's reducing the cravings, and I'm feeling healthier and better. And then that has speared me onto this whole new research of how I want to make this all fit together. So I also do coaching. So I'm in the process, as well as doing a journey like Adrian was, or is, in creating a program for people who are like me. Because everyone's different, right? And we all attract to different people. But for me, it has to have that coaching aspect. It has to have that emotional aspect. And it has to have that mental aspect, because that's a big part of what keeps those sugar cravings alive in us. Not just the chemical, but those sides as well.
Elizabeth, I need to jump in. I'm not sure if Debbie's going to ask you, but I'm really intrigued in regards to, you know, what amount of Emulin are you taking, and what amount of Clemax are you taking?
Okay, I've played with it a little bit. And kind of like Adrian said, you know, when you look at the dosages for Emulin is for a 150-pound person. Well, I'm way over that. So I would go through bouts where I would take double for a while, and then I would go back to single. And I kind of checked in with myself, you know, what do I need to take now? Do I need to up it? Do I need it down? So I've done a kind of an intuitive thing on that. But right now I'm back to taking double again. And when Dr. Stefano did his last post on Facebook, I loved it, because he said it beautifully. Take a single dose if you're healthy, take a double dose if you've got some problems, and take a triple dose if you've got major problems. And I'd only been taking a single one. And a part of that was too, because I had it in my mind that I couldn't afford the extra bottles a month if I wanted to take a double. So I had to look at that, and I thought, yeah, you know what? I have to set that aside for a while because really I need to be taking a double dose of Climax. And I started doing that about a month ago, and I'm seeing more increases of feeling better. Like I'm noticing a difference in my body, and especially with my sleep. And thanks to you, Jackie, because you were the one that talked about taking Emulin before you go to bed. So I now take a full dose, like 2 minutes before. I take that and then crawl into bed. And it has made a huge difference on how well I sleep and how rested I feel in the morning. And I drink it in a full glass of water, like an 8-ounce glass of water, and I'm not getting up in the middle of the night to pee that out.
So you're meaning taking your Climax before bed, not your Emulin? I take
my Emulin in the morning and at supper.
Yeah.
I take 1 dose of Climax in the morning. That's the first thing that goes into my body. Emulin is the second. I take my Emulin at supper time, and then I take another full dose of Climax just before I go to bed. I highly recommend that to everybody. I'm loving what that's doing for me.
No, that's awesome. And you know, I'm so glad that you brought up all these extra points, because there are so many other factors to the weight. Not everybody loses weight on this product, I have to say. Those that do, it's wonderful, but there are so many other components that come into why people are carrying weight. And so, you know, like you said, the emotional side of it is very important. You and I both deal with those things in people. The other thing is blood type. You know, when it's what kind of food works well with your body, blood type has an effect. Do you know what blood type you are?
Well, I'm thinking I got to be O because I'm a meat eater.
Okay, that's me too.
You can take anything away from me, but do not take away my meat.
Yeah, so O's can eat a lot. I mean, the metabolism of an O can handle more meat, and not everybody, so not every diet or food program is going to fit every person either. And that's really important, because you see it working for one person and you try it, and it's discouraging if it doesn't work for you. Because if that's the only thing you're looking at, then it's like, oh, how come it's not working for me? So it's really important to find, you know, that where you fit in, and where your system fits in, and how the product fits in with that. So experimentation, I think, is really good. And, you know, talking about the Canada Food Guide, if you look at that pyramid and tip it upside down, that's really what we should be, you know, doing. Having the things that are at the top of the pyramid be the things at the bottom, and vice versa. So
exactly. And I'm eating a lot more healthy fats. So I've increased, because I wasn't really eating a lot of healthy fats for sure. So I've upped that as well, and I think that's making a big difference as well.
Do you know, Elizabeth, what I want to, I'm just mindful of time here, and I just want to combine these two together, because Debbie's going to read out Ben's testimonial for us. But you know, one thing that I want to thank you for what you've shared with us today, because when you do delve into your own personal life and your own journey, it can be an emotional journey within itself to share something like that. So I really am very grateful, and I know we all are, that you've shared that, because this is going out into the world for everybody to be educated by. So thank you very much for that. But what's come through very strongly for me is that everybody is different. We are very unique. So you do have to tailor things to you. It's like, may I dare say, it's like choosing a dress. It's like choosing a car. We are all very different. You tailor things differently, and our food is no different. But the basic of it is that it's that raw diet, non-processed, and the power of what I've heard from both Adrian and yourself today, by making those choices in raw foods, and also implementing in Emulin and Climax, and the difference that it's made for you both sincerely and genuinely and honestly. The results are proving that they have made a remarkable difference in your lives, in both of you. Adrian, for different purposes in regards to the transformation of his body and weight loss and through diet. But yours is the same. Like, yours has been a remarkable journey in the amount of weight loss that you've had. But more importantly for you too, I believe, is that your mobility has become so much easier. So your lifestyle has become a lot more enjoyable. But I think, you know, everybody to think about this too from a holistic point of view. Both of these two people here, what we're looking at from the outside isn't the most important thing. It's what's happening on the inside of their bodies that's changing and transforming. And that's why they're starting to notice a big difference on the outside, because internally, at a cellular level, their internal organs are feeling a lot happier, they're a lot healthier, so the outside starts to be a prettier picture. And I just am in awe of what you've done as well, Elizabeth, and I want to really thank you for sharing the story. I'll let Debbie say whatever she would like to from there, and then we'll move on and get Ben's testimonial read out. So thank you so much.
Can I share one quick thing I just thought of?
Yes.
I had a little mark on my head right here, which would be from sitting in the sun because I'm a sun worshiper. And I noticed about a week ago, it's actually gone.
Wow.
Nice bonus. It goes to the skin if you take too much. That's what I love telling people. You can't overdose. It'll just go to your skin and have benefits there as well. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I really appreciate that's another whole aspect in testimonies that, parts of that haven't ever come out before, and that's very valuable. So yes, I do have Ben's testimony. In his own words, he wasn't able to get through, so I asked him if it would be okay if I read the testimony that he wrote, and he said, absolutely, that would be wonderful. So I want to show you his picture because we didn't get to see him. So he is, he's an outdoors person, and when I was talking to him today, he lives alone. He looks after 400 acres of land, and he hunts, obviously. He's a very active person. But I want to just tell you his testimony in the last couple minutes here in his own words. So he wrote, "Thank you. How could I not become a distributor? I reluctantly tried Igalen products, as I have tried everything else with no results." So isn't that the story of so many people? About a little more than a week into taking Emulin E and Climax, I started to feel a difference. I fell from a tree and broke my neck a while back, and my old body was already a mess even before the fall. Before I started taking Emulin and Climax, there seemed not a joint in my body that did not give me pain. I even went to New York City for stem cell injections in my knees to the tune of almost $6,000 out of my pocket. Nothing, no relief. Like I stated above, after a short while, I started to get less and less pain everywhere. I ran out and I told myself that I did not need these things, as it was just all of the other vitamins that I was taking. Wrong. I know now that it was the Climax and the Emulin, so I ordered more, and I thought, wow, excuse me, not if, but it was the Climax and the Emulin that did that, so I became a distributor. My thoughts are, if this can help this old beat up body, it's going to help someone else also out of a painful day. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. He's so active and has obviously been doing all of this in pain for a lot of the time. And now he's so relieved that he just wants to share it with people. And it's just unfortunate you couldn't hear it, from him, but that's the gist of his story. And I look forward to getting updates on his story through Facebook. So.
That is pretty darn amazing. Like, we've had 3 fabulous stories here today, and I think, as Debbie said beforehand, it's taken a bit of a different turn in the tide, because it really isn't so much about the emphasis on poor health. And I honestly have to say, personally, I think it's this has been really powerful, because Emulin isn't just about poor health, it's about lifestyle choices. And to have these 3 testimonials that are about lifestyle choices and the benefits that it's given to the 3 of you, Ben, Elizabeth, and Adrian, through the change in the choice of what you're doing in your daily diet and also into the exercise regime, we can see what we have in our hands, and it's just pure magic. It really is what Dr. Ahrens and Dr. Stefano have given us that we get to share. So this is a really unique testimonial, and I'm really happy that we all have it to be able to share it and get it out into the world, because I'm sure it's going to make people sit up and take a lot of notice that these aren't just supplements because you have to be sick. These are supplements for well-being as a health management system, and probably one of the best health management systems that we could possibly ever come across in our lives. And it's just, I just think we're really blessed. In saying that, Lee, is there anything that you would like to actually add to this call today?
Yes, following on from Elizabeth's testimonial, I'd just like to share an experience I had in relation to carbohydrates and my awareness around carbohydrates. Several years ago, I really dramatically reduced my carbohydrate intake after I'd had a long patch of high-level chronic stress at work, which meant I was coming home tired. And of course, the easiest and fastest thing to get and what I craved were carbohydrates. But I reached a point and I really reduced the carbohydrates. So my only carbohydrate intake was vegetables. And what I discovered one Sunday evening when I was coming home late from an event and I was hungry, and it was about 9:30 in the evening, and I thought, I'm not going home to cook, I'm tired. So I stopped at one of those well-known fast food takeaway places and I bought a burger. And I didn't buy a soft drink. I don't drink sugary drinks, but I had that burger and it was okay. The next morning I felt ill, and that was interesting. Then a couple of years ago, I went to lunch with a couple of friends of mine, and the restaurant, it was extraordinary. I've never seen a restaurant menu so lacking in vegetables. It was a really carbohydrate-rich menu, and I struggled to find something to order. And the next morning, I felt ill. And I can only attribute that to the high level of carbohydrates. So that was a really stark lesson for me to identify what high, especially refined carbohydrates do to us. So other than that, it was enjoyable to listening to everybody's wonderful outcomes.
Before we finish off, has anyone got any questions that they'd like to ask or add to this? Because we're heading over the hour, or we're just topping on the hour. So has anyone got anything that they'd like to ask? We've got Elizabeth on here. Adrian had to go.
I trained her well.
Well done, Brian.
But thanks
Just
very
remind-
much.
Yeah, sorry, Brian.
Thanks for everything, you two, and Lee too. What's next week?
Next week we've got two amazing people on that are going to share their stories, which is
Super. One sitting right there. I can't wait.
so you already know that Bev Ellis is going to be sharing her story, and so is Loudon Ashley. So I'm
That's
so
great.
excited to bring those two on next week, that we're going to be able to listen to their journey. And I think the most enlightening thing that I got out of connecting with them this week earlier was that I thought that Loudon was this quiet little person. Boy, was I quietly surprised. So I said to him, with my sense of humour, the way that it always sits, I'm really going to have some fun with him. Not on the interview, but from here on in, I'm going to have some fun with him, because I now know the real Loudon. So I'm really looking forward to that. So
I'll guarantee you one thing. A couple of the stories that Bev has will blow your mind.
yeah, so what I'll do with this, before you keep going, Brian, if no one's got anything else to say, I want to finish this recording up if we can, so we can keep it nice and close to the hour to be able to share it. So
Just a reminder, guys, about the promo. We've only got, 5-6 days left for that promotion. So use the testimonies and the other calls as your resources to get this information into people's hands and give them access to the promo.
Jackie?
yes.
One thing I'd like to add, I wanted to thank Adrian for sharing what he does on his Facebook to talk about his journey, because I've thought about doing that different times and I've always chickened out. But after hearing him speak and hearing your reaction to watching him online, I'm actually going to do that. So I'll have a page up in a couple of days and start documenting my journey. Because like I said, the different content of mine is going to be around the emotional side of it as well. And I want to add that component for people. So thank you, Adrian, for sharing that part of your journey.
Yeah. Look, it's really,
Atta go, kid.
it is really powerful. And look, I just want to thank everybody for being on the call. I really want to thank two of the other Fab Five here, which is Debbie Ward and Lee Rafferty, because without these ladies on board, and also with Dr. Ken and Dr. Ron, these calls aren't possible. So there is a little bit of work that goes in behind it, and we have a lot of fun behind it as well. But it's an absolute pleasure to be able to bring people into the spotlight to be able to share their stories, because your stories are what actually make iGalen global. Because if we don't have the stories to share, what is iGalen? Nobody gets to understand what the power of it is. So again, it is an absolute honour, and I've got goosebumps again, because it's an honour to be part of something so amazing. Like, it really is a revolutionary shift in the paradigm of health in regards to how we manage our systems. And today has just been one of those aha moments for me today with the 3 people that have come on board, because it's really been targeted at the most important aspect of living, and that's what we consume every day by the choices of what we eat. And now we have the combination of this powerful health management system in Amulin and with Climax, with Dr. Ahrens and Dr. Stefano. We have the perfect combination. It's a perfect marriage as far as I'm concerned. If there ever was such a thing, we have the perfect marriage. So I just want to thank everybody. I just want to say good evening to everybody, wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon, and please stay on board. I'm going to finish the recording, and please make sure you join us next week, because I know we're going to have a lot of fun with Loudon and Bev. I know that's going to be very entertaining and also enjoyable. And we'll speak to you next week. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Jackie.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
See you later, kids.
Thank
See you
you.
later,
Bye.
kids.